Hello everyone, my name's Dr. Ferghal Armstrong and welcome to Cracking Addiction with Laura Petracek. Laura, we're talking about the mnemonic GIVE, and we've worked out that G stands for gentle, genuine, interested, and in the last episode we were just talking about validation. And I made the comment to you about how, or the question really is, should one validate the invalid? And you actually said yes, you do need to validate the invalid. Just talk to me more about that. Validating the invalid. How do you actually turn it around?
Well, first of all, I would reframe it. I would say validating their point of view.
Yeah.
Even though to you it's totally invalid and they're out to lunch with it, that's their point of view. So if you want to continue having a respectful conversation and to try to get something resolved, or at least each of you heard, you're going to validate their opinion or their point of view. And then you come back with, what's your feelings? What are you experiencing? How do you see the situation?
So this reminds me of a point that was made, I think, by Napoleon Hill in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And in this, I think it is written that you can never argue your point against someone who disagrees with you. There's no point in arguing. Is that true, do you think?
I really do think that. That's why, again, I don't have politics or religion discussed at my dinner parties, because you can't. It's like a no-win situation on both sides. You both think you're right, and you're just locking heads. And then the rest of the people, say, "Oh, I'm going to go outside."
If you can't argue with anyone, does that mean you can't disagree with anyone? If you've got to validate all the time.
No, I think it's like steps. Like arguing's up here doesn't really get you anywhere. Disagreeing, I think, is effective, especially if you use this mnemonic as using GIVE, being gentle, interested, feeding back their point of view, and then you sharing your own point of view and your own feelings. And then hopefully at the end, maybe you're not agreeing, but you both feel heard, kind of agreeing to disagree, if that's what it turns out to be. But at least it's not contentious and you both are leaving with a bad feeling, not just about the conversation, but about each other.
Yeah. That agreeing to disagree reminds me of the fact that I have a fridge magnet on my fridge that says agreeing to disagree is just acknowledging that both of you think the other person is a ...
Well,
there's a lot of truth in fridge magnets.
And there's some truth in that, how should I say, definition. But see, it's not still, but agreeing to disagree is going to go over much better than the other definition,
which is getting into a fist fight.
The other meaning. Yeah, it's just going to make the other person mad or push them away.
Yeah. So I suppose really then we need to start moving on to the E in the GIVE mnemonic. What does the E stand for again?
E stands for easy manner, or what you were discussing in the first G. Instead of give, it could also mean gentle. So being decent, showing consideration to others. There's no need to necessarily be intense in most conversations, although some of us tend to go there very easily, especially people who suffer from emotional dysregulation. They tend to go 0 to 100 very quickly, and it's not helpful. It's not effective.
So how could you stop yourself from getting to that point? It's all very well saying, "Oh, be easy, be gentle, have an easy manner." But if you are someone who is easily aroused, and if you're talking about perhaps an emotive subject, how can you actually just sit back and
Well, then there's other tools I suggest to clients, like breathing. Do some
mm,
mindful breathing or box breathing, as you had mentioned.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, sometimes it helps to, gently have your hands open on your lap
mm,
along with breathing. Because a lot of times when we're upset, our breathing is shallow. So make sure you have your hand on your belly, you're doing belly breathing. And also, there's a phrase I've heard: how important is it? Like, a lot of times we just feel we have to be right, or we can't let others be right on minor issues
mm,
or
mm,
inconsequential matters. But, I've learned sometimes, is it any skin off my back if they think, the Giants won instead of the A's? No, they can
yeah,
I'll just let that go. But we have such a culture, or at least in this, country, of being right, even if it's about, is it number one or number two, the most,
mm,
uh, inane type of situations. So, yeah, do I really have to argue my point? Can I just let it be? Okay, you think, that our country was uh, not 1776, but was born in 1876. All right, let's just let it, like I've
uh-huh,
learned to let more things go. And it really, you know, has made things smoother. I don't know, for me, I don't know necessarily for them, but a part of it was, oh no, if I'm not right, then I didn't, quote, win. Well, is that what conversations are? We win,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
in the spirit of that. And it's
I
amazing how
I've
you let it go, or just let the other person think they're right. It's kind of
mm,
amazing, I found, when what it is getting your ego out of the way. It's
mm,
like, okay, let them think the sky's red instead of blue. What do I care? Now, if it's a conversation how we're going to raise our daughter, now that's a different story, But a lot of things just really are not that of importance. They're not worth getting so upset about.
yeah, I've noticed that really powerful people are the most easy people in this context because they don't have anything to prove.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
or
They
yeah, or
will. Oh, go ahead.
certainly in academic circles, when I'm having conversations with people and there's an expert in the room, and sometimes I am that expert and sometimes I'm not the expert, but certainly, all right, let me make it more personal. When I'm the expert in the room and someone's arguing about a finer point of detail in my area of expertise, I don't care. Yeah. If they're trying to prove a point, I'm switching off because I know they're wrong. I just can't be bothered explaining it to them, or they're trying to show off. Or grandstand. I just don't care. And I go, oh, really? All right.
Yeah, so you're
That's me
doing a
being easy.
validate, but
I'm being easy because I just lose. I suppose really I'm losing interest, but I'm still pretending to be interested. Well, am I pretending to be interested? But the point I'm trying to
yeah, you
make is
are.
that
That's
if
okay.
if you if you're not emotionally wrought up in the outcome of the conversation, it's very easy to just sit back and be easy.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's sometimes the tough part I find for our patients,
yeah,
to
yeah.
not be hooked like that.
And if you're not
But
trying to get the validation of being seen to be right, so I
yes.
suppose easy also means not requiring the validation of being right in that conversation,
Hmm. Exactly.
which then feeds
And
back into self-esteem, doesn't it?
yeah, because people with lower self-esteem, so much rides on being right. Or,
Yeah.
I think about when you were sharing, well, people in power don't necessarily have to show they're right because of their position or say they're right. We had, a president recently who, with low self-esteem, along with other things, Trump always had to be right, whereas before him, President Obama was so even, and you could scream or yell at him all day and he would come back calm as a cucumber. He would, because he didn't have to get into it. He knew, he was secure within himself and, okay, I'm the president. So what are you really going to throw at me?
So yes, I need to modify that statement about power. It's not about power. It's about inner self-esteem, isn't it? If you've got self-esteem, you don't need to win that conversation or that argument, and you can sit back and be easy.
Yeah. You could sit back, be easy. And that's another thing that helps. It's almost like going back to the stop skill. Sitting back is a way to take some of the power out of a charged conversation. And also just to relax, like, who cares what these people are saying? It's okay.
Yeah. But that's very hard, isn't it, to get your body and your mindset into that if you are overwrought and if you don't have adequate self-esteem and you really do feel you need to be, you need to prove the point. But in my experience, it's really obvious when people are feeling that and they are trying to win the argument, and they do actually diminish their standing if they do try and over-egg their point.
That's a good point. They do diminish their standing.
They do. So actually, you end up in this vicious circle of trying to prove your worth and then destroying your worth and then trying to have to prove it again and again and again. And sometimes it can be excruciatingly embarrassing to watch.
It'd be very painful to watch. You're right.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just only, though, high self-esteem. It's another mnemonic. I forget what it is, but Dr. Linehan talks about, did you get enough sleep, exercise, eating? So let's say...
Is that the ABC, please?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
ABC, please, yes.
Let's say I just came off the plane from America going to Australia. Okay, I've been on a plane for 20 hours. I haven't slept very well. I'm totally jet lagged. I've just been eating peanuts. I'm hungry. And then we try to have a conversation, even though I feel I have high self-esteem, although I know you say otherwise sometimes. But that conversation may not be as easy as if a few days later, when I'm rested and used to the time zone change and, a couple of excursions.
So yes, you really, what I'm hearing is you have to take into account context as well. And self-esteem is like resilience; it fluctuates. It's not an immutable force. Yes. Not like the Force in Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, it's not a constant. You're right.
No. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think we've got through the GIVE mnemonic in a number of episodes. Unfortunately, we've run out of time again, Laura, but I really wish that we can speak again soon on the role of DBT in the 12-step program. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Ferghal, for having me.
That's all for today, folks. My name is Dr. Ferghal Armstrong, and this has been Cracking Addiction.